Jeep reliability isn't random. Certain engines are built to go 500,000 miles, others are ticking clocks. In this video, I'll rank 5 Jeep engines with proven long-haul durability and the single maintenance habit that separates reliable builds from expensive breakdowns. Number 5. 3.6-liter Pentastar V6. You know that moment when a Jeep runs perfectly, then one small smell makes your stomach drop? That is the Pentastar moment, because this V6 can act chill for years, then one hidden leak turns your day into a mess. People trash the 3.6 online like it is a joke motor, yet Jeep kept betting on it because the numbers were strong for the time. The engine shows up for the 2011 model year, and in the 2011 Grand Cherokee it is rated at 290 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, which explains why it got shoved into so many vehicles. That jump matters because Jeep moved into a modern DOHC 24-valve setup with a timing chain, and once that happened, the plan turned simple. Using one engine across Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep for years. Big volume creates big noise, and that noise always focuses on one thing. For the Pentastar, the real-world headache is the oil filter housing and cooler assembly. This failure does not always scream at you, it sneaks around. Oil can leak from places you do not notice until the smell hits, or the drips show up where you park, or you catch that oily film where it should be dry. Standard Motor Products breaks down several leak paths, including around the back under the filter, around sensors, and at the base seals, which is why owners end up having that "why is my driveway spicy" moment. Now let's talk about the story that keeps getting shared, because it rewires how people judge this engine. There's a widely shared high-mileage story of a 2014 Ram with a 3.6-liter where the engine reportedly made it to 626,000 miles, and then the timing chain failed. That number sounds ridiculous when you first hear it, then you see the reactions in Jeep communities, and the tone changes fast. Because people start asking real questions, like what kind of oil schedule did that owner run, and how early did they catch leaks? That is the truth behind this V6. It rewards boring habits, and it punishes neglect in a quiet, expensive way. Keep clean oil in it, keep cooling steady, and do not ignore small leaks, and it can keep going without drama. Let oil leaks hang around, stretch oil changes, and you invite the kind of wear that turns into a long weekend in the driveway. Chrysler pitched the Pentastar as a step forward in power and efficiency for that era, and the rollout proves they believed it. One lesser-known detail adds a fun twist too because the engine was originally rumored under a different name, Phoenix, before the Pentastar branding landed, and it was introduced publicly before it hit Jeeps. Keep that small leak, big trouble idea in your head because the engine coming up has the opposite personality, and it survives because it stays old school simple. If you are enjoying this, show some love right now. Hit subscribe, drop a like, and tell me what engine you drive. The next engine on this list flips the whole debate, and you need to hear why. Number 4. 5.2-liter/5.9-liter Magnum V8. This one tricks people. It sounds like it should be loud, needy, and expensive, yet it often behaves like a farm tool that keeps working even when you stop paying attention for a minute. That simple feel is exactly why so many owners trust it. The Magnum V8 story starts with truck roots and basic hardware, which is the kind of combo that ages well. The 5.2 Magnum shows up in the ZJ Grand Cherokee era, and Car and Driver tested a 1993 Grand Cherokee Laredo with the 5.2, publishing the numbers straight. 220 horsepower at 4,800 revolutions per minute and 285 pounds-feet at 3,600 revolutions per minute. Those numbers matter less as bragging rights and more as a daily use clue, because the torque shows up where Jeep owners actually live, down low, pulling weight, climbing, crawling, and moving without living at high RPM. Treat that kind of engine with basic respect and it tends to pay you back. Keep it out of constant high RPM misery, keep the cooling system healthy, and you avoid the wear pattern that kills a lot of older motors early. That is one reason people bring these up when the conversation turns into, could this hit 500,000 miles? Then the bigger sibling shows up and makes the ZJ feel like a problem in the best way. Jeep had a 1998 model year 5.9 limited option listed with 245 horsepower and 345 pound-feet, which was basically Jeep admitting they wanted a family SUV that could still scare a stoplight. Torque like that changes the whole driving feel, and it also means you do not need to wring its neck to get movement. Hot Rod's take on Magnum truck engines is blunt, they tend to survive very well, and the article points to details that explain the long life reputation. Factory moly compression rings get mentioned, overdrive gearing gets mentioned, and port fuel injection gets mentioned, all tied to reducing wear in normal use. One phrase should stick in your brain, minimal bore wear, because bore wear is where older engines usually start losing the plot, then everything starts sliding downhill. Now the honest part needs to be said out loud. A Magnum V8 hitting huge miles usually belongs to someone who treats maintenance like a daily habit, not a hobby. Cooling system care matters, oil changes matter, and little leaks need to get handled before the temperature gauge starts yelling. The recipe still makes sense though: iron block, simple valve train, and torque that does not demand abuse. One lesser-known detail sits in the background of this era, because the ZJ Grand Cherokee helped make a V8 option feel mainstream for an SUV in its class, and Jeep leaned into that identity early. Hold on to that thought, because the V8 coming up can run strong too, yet it has one big trigger that turns it ugly fast, and that trigger sits inside your oil pan. Number 3. 4.7-liter PowerTech V8. This engine has a reputation split right down the middle. Some people call it fine and move on, while others swear it ruined their month. And the difference usually comes from one boring habit that people love to skip. The 4.7-liter PowerTech V8 does not behave like the older Magnum V8s, even if the badge makes some folks assume it will. Chrysler's PowerTech V8 family is listed as a 1999 to 2013 run, and that long run tells you it mattered across the lineup. The layout also shifts things, because it brings a more modern design than the old pushrod feel, with a single overhead cam setup, different packaging, and different expectations about care. This is where the story turns personal. If someone treated this engine like a disposable commuter, stretched oil intervals, ignored the oil level, and kept driving while it ran hot, the result could get ugly. Owner spaces bring up one theme again and again, and it is not random, it is sludge anxiety. You see experienced people pushing the same advice in plain language. Shorten your oil interval, watch the filler tube, use good oil, keep it clean. That sludge talk follows neglected examples, and once it shows up, it becomes the ghost story nobody forgets. Now flip the coin. A 4.7 that gets consistent oil service can rack up serious miles without drama, and that is why opinions clash so hard. Same engine name, same displacement, totally different lives because the care level changes the ending. That contrast makes this motor a perfect example of why internet takes can be useless, since people speak from their own experience, and their maintenance habits shape that experience. This engine also mattered for buyers back then. In Grand Cherokees and related platforms, it gave a V8 feel without forcing everyone into the biggest V8 choice in every market. It became a common middle ground, more punch than the base engine, less thirst than the biggest option, and enough torque to make the vehicle feel right. So what is the real longevity move here? Keep oil clean, keep it at the proper level, and treat weird noises or overheating like an emergency, not a later problem. Once sludge starts, it stops being a small issue, and it can snowball into a bill nobody enjoys paying. One lesser-known detail gives a clue about how Chrysler wanted people to see it. The PowerTech family gets described as next-generation Magnum in some references, basically a bridge from old Magnum identity into a newer era. Now get ready, because the engine coming up has the kind of name that makes Jeep people grin, and the reason sits deep inside the block. Number 2, 4.2-liter AMC inline-six. Say old Jeep that refuses to die. And this is the engine people are actually describing half the time, even if they never learned the name. The 4.2 is the prehistoric tank that came before the famous 4.0, and it belongs on this list for one simple reason. The bottom end is stubborn. It is part of that massive AMC straight-six family that spans decades, and the whole design philosophy was torque first, survive later. Here's the funny part that confuses new owners. The 4.2 does not always feel reliable because the weak link usually isn't the block, it is the carb setup and tuning. When it sits out of tune, it runs rough, drinks fuel, and annoys you. But when it gets dialed in or converted to fuel injection, the engine itself has the reputation of just continuing. Owners in longtime Jeep communities regularly talk about 4.2s pushing deep mileage when maintenance is basic and cooling stays healthy. And if you want a wild longevity-proof detail for narration, there are documented high-mile Jeep builds where the original inline-six went hundreds of thousands of miles before being swapped to a 4.2 long block after massive mileage. That tells you exactly what people trust when they are trying to keep an old Jeep alive. Why does it hit huge miles? Simple architecture, torque at low RPM, and it doesn't demand high rev abuse to move the vehicle. Keep oil clean, keep it cool, and don't let small leaks turn into overheating, and it will outlast the Jeep around it. This old tank sets the stage perfectly because the number one spot takes that same stubborn DNA and fixes the one thing that held the 4.2 back. Keep watching, because the number one spot does something that annoys list lovers, and the comments always prove why it has to happen. Number 1, 4.0-liter AMC inline-six. This is the part where people get mad, because the list repeats the same engine. The problem is reality repeats it too, and the comments always drag the conversation right back here. A lot of engines can hit high miles with perfect care, yet the 4.0 keeps winning because it brings two things that matter more than horsepower: forgiving design and repairability. That combo changes everything when the goal is not speed, it is reaching a number like 500,000 miles without living in constant fear of the next surprise bill. From the factory, the 4.0 sits in a sweet spot where it makes usable torque without demanding high revs. Lower rev demands can mean less stress in daily driving, especially for people who use their Jeep like a Jeep, hauling, climbing, idling, crawling, and dealing with heat. The architecture also stays consistent for years, and that consistency matters because it creates a world where parts, knowledge, and fixes become common. Think about what that means in real life. When an engine becomes common, every mechanic has seen it, every junkyard has it, and every owner knows someone who has already solved the same annoying problem. That shared knowledge is a cheat code because it cuts the time and money spent guessing. A rare engine can be great on paper, yet rare engines turn small issues into expensive hunts, and that is not what you want when you are chasing huge mileage. This engine also becomes a shared language across Jeep generations. XJ people have stories, TJ people have stories, early WJ people have stories, and the stories keep matching in one way. The engine keeps running even when the vehicle around it starts showing age. That is why it hijacks lists, because the legend is not just about strength, it is also about how easy it is to keep alive when life gets messy. One practical takeaway stays simple. Oil matters, the cooling system matters, and leaks need to get handled early. Yet the payoff is real because this engine tolerates imperfect life better than most. One lesser-known detail makes the durability story even crazier. Wikipedia notes the modern 4.0 development was completed in 26 months, and it incorporated off-the-shelf components while strengthening key areas, which means the timeline was fast, yet the reputation became huge anyway. Now let me leave you with a question that should stick in your head, because it decides who hits 150,000 and who keeps going past it. What is the one maintenance habit you refuse to skip, even when you get busy? If one of these engines made you think about your own Jeep, drop your mileage below. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single Jeep insight. See you in the next one.